So, I'll introduce myself. Ken Dychtwald is your next speaker. I've known her all of my life. He tries his best, and that'll do for now. I think there's three areas in which we have some radical need and radical change. First, I'll remind you of the Greek myth of Tithonius, the beautiful goddess who could live forever, but fell in love with a mortal warrior. Her name was Eos. She fell in love with Tithonius, the mortal warrior. And because she wanted to be with him for all time, she asked Zeus to grant him immortality. And Zeus says, done. And then as she was leaving Zeus's chamber, she realized she forgot to ask for health. And as the fable goes, this once proud, powerful, healthy warrior got older and sicker, and his bones broke, and his organs rotted, and his brain became demented, but he could never die. I think that's what we've done so far. I do not believe we've created the right version of aging, and frankly, I do not feel that we have a quality healthcare system for an aging population, and I think it's wrong in almost every conceivable way. So some of the things that I feel need to happen. First of all, we have no purpose to our healthcare system. All the talk has been about financing healthcare. Fabulous. But if your train is heading in the wrong direction and your goal is to simply put more coal in the engine, if it's heading in the wrong direction, it's still not going to get anywhere. We need to have healthy aging be the focus of our healthcare system. In an increasingly longevous era, to have tens of millions of people living long lives with suffering and pain and sickness and disability and horrendous impact on families and on the economy is simply wrong. It's wrong. Second, all of our healthcare professionals must become aging ready. They are not. 40 to 50% of the work that doctors are doing in America with our moms and dads and with our elderly patients are do-overs because they're winging it. And to me, it's unconscionable that, as I mentioned earlier, that less than 20 of our medical schools have full departments of geriatrics. It's unconscionable. You go to Great Britain, every medical school's got a department of geriatrics. How is it that we can be the greatest nation on earth and spin out a healthcare system that's only moderately capable of dealing with older people? And here's the irony. I get asked to speak at medical conventions throughout America continually, and they always introduce me. Ken Dychtwald's going to talk about the problem of the aging of America. Here's the irony. Our 20th century health breakthroughs have given us old people. And now we can't figure out how to keep them healthy. And it's like a sausage machine. On the one end, you put in some new medical diagnostic, you put in some new scientific breakthrough, some better self-care, some better system of long-term care. And what comes out the other end of the sausage machine is more old people. It's just the way it works. That's the product of the 20th century healthcare system, yet we have not yet created a healthcare system that can truly deal with the needs of an aging society. Next, we do not have a continuum of care. Every one of us knows it. Our moms fall down, our dads get sick, somebody in the family has a crisis, one of our community members gets ill, and they bounce from doctor to doctor to doctor who don't talk to each other. We have a nursing home that's not connected with the senior center. The senior center doesn't know anything about the Area Agency on Aging. The Area Agency on Aging is not well connected to AARP. The average doctor really doesn't understand what goes on in the family, doesn't even think to stop by that patient's house to see if there's people there to look after him. And we call that the best healthcare system in the world. It might be if you're young or if you sprain your ankle, if you're having a baby. But if you're 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, we do not have a very good healthcare system. Next, for every dollar we spend on the treatment of care in this country, we spend less than a penny on the scientific research needed to break away some of these diseases. I was lucky when I was 29, I collaborated on a book with Jonas Salk, and thankfully he put an end to polio. You know, Bob reminds us in his writings that if we could simply slow down the onset of Alzheimer's by 5 years, 1/2 of all the nursing home beds in America would empty. So is the idea that we should build more nursing homes, or is the idea that we should cut it off at the pass? And I would have to tell you, after my 35 years in the field, my single biggest worry is that when I see projections that 15 to 20 million of us will have dementia, and because we'll have done a better job of moderating the various other diseases of old age, that dementia might last for 20 years, it will be the sinkhole into which the 21st century of America falls. It will be the sinkhole. And so the issue is, can we all take 1 second And imagine a world without Alzheimer's. And if it is not us who see it, who touch it, who feel it, who understand this disease, who can lead a revolution, sort of the John F. Kennedy-esque revolution, if we're going to put a man on the moon in the next decade, we must end Alzheimer's within the next 10 years. And last on this first point, we are a gluttonous society. We overeat, we do not exercise, we don't comply with our medications, we don't look after our children, we don't care for our parents. We're a mess. And then we get all angry when the healthcare system doesn't make us better. There's something seriously wrong with that. Seriously wrong with a culture that 2/3 of its population is overweight, 1/3 is obese, the quantity of junk foods that we eat is unbelievable, the absence of prevention and wellness and self-care is staggering. Where is the self-responsibility for health in this country? And who's going to talk about that to our elders? Second concern. I call this one financial wake-up call. My first one was, are we heading towards Tithonius' revenge or healthy aging? The second one is financial wake-up call. So we have received what I would call a longevity bonus. It's in my view, the most extraordinary triumph of human history, that where our grandparents might dream of living 40 or 50 or 60 years, we now imagine the idea of an 80 or 90 or 100-year life. Who is going to pay for that? So when I look at the demographics and I see that between this year and the year 2030, the 65-plus population will grow by more than 70%, while the population paying payroll taxes will grow by less than 10%, it's hard for me not to configure that that's going to put an enormous pressure on young people. And here's a concept. I believe that our aging population is getting too much of our tax dollars. I think it's money spent improperly. I think our healthcare system could produce healthier people for less money. I think we rely too much on giving benefits to older people while the poverty rate among young people is twice that of seniors. And I'm terribly concerned by the fact that whereas today's elder generation, having been brought up in the shadow of the Depression, were always somewhat frugal and responsible and managed to save about 10% of their paycheck each week, and also had some piece of guaranteed benefits when those were in existence. And watch the Dow, even though it's a volatile dynamic, multiply 40 times in the course of their lives. And watch their property values grow. And are generally a generation of people who were told to save some for a rainy day, and don't spend what you don't have. And here following up behind is this boomer generation, who I, by the way, think are an extraordinary generation of people, but generally within the public, there's the feeling that we're a generation that does not deserve a lot of goodwill. And 25 million boomers have less than $1,000 in their net lifetime assets. 25 million. And even if Social Security is absolutely solid as a rock, it will not go the distance unless we create some financial intelligence in this country about how to pay for a longer life. It just will not add up. And tens of millions of people will find themselves at 70 or 90 or 100 with the bonus of longevity, what with desperate poverty, like we saw in the 1930s when 1/3 of the elderly were impoverished. Now it's only about 11%, which is a great triumph, but we're veering towards a different future. And when I look at ASA and NCOE and I see the primary areas that are staked out in terms of mental health and quality of life and there's no mention of financial well-being as an issue that we ought to be concerned with. There must be. Or else really nice people, your neighbors, your sisters, your brothers, you will find yourself in your later years thinking, my goodness, I have blown it.